And we're back after our first week off in I don't even know how long. Judd'z Budz episode 73. As always, your host, Spokesy, joined by my good buddy, Mr. at State of Hoppy, Mr. 8 at State of Hoppy. How we doing?
We're good. Yeah, you had a good streak going there, and it got busted by a good roommate.
Ex-roommate. Just had a real normal kind of week. I don't think we actually said anything about it like on Twitter or anything. And we certainly didn't do a fucking podcast about it because I had no internet. But yeah, so long story short, we missed last week because one of my roommates, aka the one that fucking knocked off our Wi-Fi and like disconnected it 99 times throughout the year, including during Patrice Bergeron's 1,000th point, and I missed that because she knocked off the fucking internet and the router. She moved out, and the day before we were supposed to do this episode last week, she came back. And while me and my other roommate were at work, she quite literally stole the internet to take to her new apartment. She took the whole router. We came back. We had nothing. So we had to miss a week. I literally had to pick up my my work equipment, my like remote work equipment, and bring it over to the first lady's apartment where I worked out of for 2 days, the 2 remote days that I worked per week. And so we missed that. And then she had a nice little surprise for us 2 days later where I came back to the apartment and I had no shower head because it was her shower head that she bought her own, like a nice one, and didn't tell us that she was doing that, and just took it, didn't replace it with the old one because she threw the old one away. So we had a literal spigot that we were using as a shower for a while. It was like not even the, oh God, whatever. And then I didn't even tell you this part, Hoppy. Friday afternoon, she texted me for the first time and says, hey, just want to let you know that I have now taken my name off of the utilities. So here is the number for the gas and the electric bill. You can call them to set up a new account for yourselves. Should be pretty easy. Here are the phone numbers. So in 1 week, we lost internet, we lost shower, and then
we got to remove the baby. Psycho.
Yeah. And just, I mean, trash the apartment. Like her shit is fucking everywhere. Has not come and got the rest of it. Has literally moved out her internet, shower head, and utilities. So that was fun. So it's been a fun week. We have internet again, clearly, and we have a shower head again. And the utilities are good to go. So it's been quite the week.
I just love how really each time she came really back to steal one thing, and like that's it.
One more. It's like, here's the thing though. If it wasn't unbelievably inconvenient, it would be the funniest move of all time. Like, it's so unhinged. I want to respect it. But like, it really fucked my shit up for about a good week. So at the same time, though, it's still fucking hilarious. Like, it's a really funny move. It's so ridiculous, but we're back. We're good again.
Yeah, we're back. We're good.
I have half of an apartment again, so
step up for John here. He's got no power in North Georgia, so we got to make it a good show for him.
All right, perfect. Shout out, John. We'll do our best here. Well, anyways, Hoppy, what have you been up to the last 2 weeks? Oh my god.
I have
No,
been
she didn't,
up
by the way,
to
Sean.
not recording with you due to lack of internet. And as I learned, I've actually been trying to put the finishing touches on my trip out east, part of which will be coming through your neck of the woods. And I just learned from you a minute ago that you have not yet confirmed your PTO, which should not shock me at all, even though you told me a couple weeks ago that you and the First Lady both recovered.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Shouldn't be a problem. But you know what? Roll the dice and see what happens. You know? Maybe you won't fucking see me. Just kidding. No, I'll make sure that happens. But a eventful week here, I guess, in that case, where we weren't doing this shit, but plenty of stuff going on.
Plenty of stuff going on.
If I keep talking about my apartment, I'll lose my fucking marbles. So we can.
Yeah, no, we'll move on. Something more positive, and probably not a lot to go on here because everyone's already talked about it. But your boy, the jersey that Isha said he was sending you and then never sent you,
still have not got it.
Duhaime. Yeah, I don't think you're ever gonna get it. So
no, at this point, I'd be shocked.
But he's up. He's back. 1 year, 1.1 mil. Obviously, you're excited, but what's the expectations? What's going to happen this year?
Well, I think, so Brandon Duhaime, always good to get that done before the ARB. He didn't go to arbitration, right? They got that done beforehand, so 1 by 1. You know, when he's healthy, he is a legit player, and like not just some like fourth line grinding like pest fighter, whatever. He's got legit skill. We see flashes of the offense. So, you know, obviously this year was a tough one just with that concussion. Then he comes back, fights, and gets like knocked out, like tough there. But you know, I think he's a guy that you love to have in your middle to bottom six. You know, he's shown that he's capable of killing penalties, playing good defensive hockey, and flashing, you know, skill, decent little bit of offense there. But I would expect him to take a big step with how the roster is right now. You know, they're going to have guys that aren't making a whole lot of dough step up and contribute. And he's right around, you know, in his own development. This feels like a good year for him to really take a step forward and kind of cement himself into that bottom to middle six potential, like Foligno-esque replacement long term. So, you know, nice again to get it done 1 year, 1 million, and see where he lies at the end of this season. But nice to just get that one out of the way. And now you can kind of focus on the goaltender, which is still up in the air. But I do think this is a huge year for Duhaime, though, because again, just with where they are with the roster construction and his ability to not just be some fourth line like plug and mutant, and he's got the vibes, big vibe. Like he's eating the fucking lineup sheet. We love that. He's a psycho. He's screaming. I live for the when there's like a fight by the Wild bench and he's on the bench and he's not saying words. He's just screaming. Like when Foligno fought Simmons, was that this year or last year? But he was literally, you could just see him on the bench screaming like, ah, ah, and like, I'm just saying nothing other than just screaming. And he's just the best. So always nice to have both Deweys back in the fold. And again, I'd expect a big year from him as long as he can stay healthy, which obviously that's a tall task for anyone, especially once you've got that concussion history. But I expect a big year from Duhaime, and I think the Wild are too, obviously.
So first one on that, then, the way it's currently projected, without any future moves that may come, Doer, Duhaime, and Maroon. Talk about vibes.
That's going to be all-out entertainment. And again, I think that even with Connor Dewar this year, I expect a big year for him too. I mean, we saw how good he was this past year where he earned his way in the lineup and just didn't leave and was a big part of that PK, obviously, with Mason Shaw, which, you know, that situation sucks, but it is what it is. But, you know, both of those guys, both Deweys, I think, are poised to have another big year, just contribution-wise, not necessarily with all the points in the world, but a big part of that PK, because when it was at their best, like Connor Dewar obviously was a massive part of that. And when he was out of the lineup, it took a severe hit. So big year for the Deweys. And I love that they're going to have Patty Maroon. So yeah, like you said, all vibe line. Two absolute mutants, and then Connor Dewar is a hidden psychopath too. Remember when both Deweys were fighting at the same time in Chicago? That was the funniest shit I've ever. Dewar was like, you know what, fuck it, I'll fight too. It just was like, who did he go? Was he with on that one? Was Stillman? I was like, geez, that was bold. But that was amazing. He had no idea the rule was you get thrown out of the game if you fight during another fight. He was like, fuck it, let's do it. That's going to be a fun line to watch, dude.
It is. But I got to ask, though, then, for Dewar and Duhaime, you expect them both to take steps, and I think we're both hoping that they're part of the future of the team. If they end up playing fourth-line minutes all year, is that a problem?
No, I think that's two solid young guys that have proven that can play in the league, that play big roles in that fourth line. Because, again, like, when we've seen the Wild at their best, they are rolling four, and they do have a big role, when the Wild are at their best. So not every young player that you're hoping has like big potential is going to end up being a top six guy. We talked about this in the prospect rankings show that we did with the Sound the Foghorn guys. Like, obviously when Dewar was in the WHL, he was a big time points guy, top six. But he found a way to make his way in the NHL and play a role and carve out that role that like they really can't when he's healthy. You can't take him out of the lineup. So I don't think it's a problem at all where if you can have, that line going up against, other teams' top sixes to shut them down. And then on top of that, kill penalties. And I mean, we saw them score shorties. I don't think it's a problem at all. Plus the fact if you have a fourth line that you're not just throwing out there for 6, 7, 8 minutes, that's a big plus too. Like, they can play in all areas of the ice. Again, they have big roles outside of just like offense. And they take a lot of the legwork off the top guys too. So I don't think it's a problem at all. And again, I do think like they both have like upside where, if they're on a third line, it's not like that's like some out of reach future for them. So then they're still both young. So.
And to frame it, I guess, differently, because from the team perspective, it's incredible. I more mean for their development. Like, do you think that there's more growth for them to experience in the exact same role, or do you think they need to get spot starts up the lineup rather than on the fourth line?
No, I think where they're at, there's still room to grow. I mean, like even though I was just saying, especially with a guy like Dewar, he ended up making himself a guy that they really couldn't take out of the lineup. I mean, he still went through spells where he just like was struggling a little bit. So I think just continuing to learn with like the consistency and playing that 82 game season in the NHL, like there's still plenty of room for him to grow. And same with Duhaime, even if it is in that fourth line role. And I'm sure they'll get more opportunities just like going up against other teams, better players more often, getting, increased ice time. Cause again, like when the Wild are at their best, they're rolling four. So no, I think there's still room to grow. Cause I mean, again, like Duhaime, he had the one full COVID year, which was that even like a real year of hockey? I don't know. And then since then he's had a couple of seasons where he's been like, he's got the injury bug I guess the first post-COVID hockey season, he was just like getting himself in trouble with all those like really funny penalties and like trying to fight literally everybody. So I think, again, like, I think there's plenty of room to grow for them to just kind of keep playing the right way and being consistent and just like continuing to grow, in a full-time NHL role. So I still think there's plenty of room for them to grow, even if it is just like fourth line.
Love it. Quick shout out, Ren Tarrington. What's up, Ren? Just found the channel/podcast. Want to let you know I enjoy your content for what it's worth. It's worth a lot. Appreciate it. I think, Z, that's pretty much all we planned on talking about for the Wild here today. Hopefully all of you are into the prospect talk because we are officially turning the page. I'm sure we'll talk about prospects to come from 2023 as we look into training camp, anyone that's maybe looking to push their way in. But let's go. 2024 class. Let's lead off here, Z. What comparison will you draw from 2023 to 2024? Because 2023, pretty epic, historic draft year when we look at the recent decade or two. How's it stack up?
Yeah, I mean, like, first of all, obviously 2023, just an incredible draft. Like every player was really fun to watch. But even with that said, like towards the end of the season, like as you're leading up to the draft, you kind of are just like, all right, like I'm ready to kind of turn the page on 2023. So this is also a very exciting time. The Hlinka Gretzky's, that tournament's coming up in a couple weeks here. That's kind of like the kickoff for the 2024 class. Like the Hlinka is that kind of like starting point, that first tournament. And this class is a whole lot of fun. It's very different. It's kind of like the polar opposite, where 2023 was certainly the draft of the forward. Outside of a few surprises that we saw early in the first round, it was a pretty forward heavy in terms of like guys with the highest ceilings. It was a super forward heavy class. This class, I mean, there's probably 4 or 5 guys who have legit chances as defensemen to go in the top 10. So it is a very different draft class in that sense. And like another piece I was telling you beforehand is it's a pretty like, in terms of demographics, where guys are coming from, it's a pretty diverse like top end of this draft too, where you've got guys in the USHL headed towards college. You've got guys in the CHL. You've got a couple Russians. You've got Finland. Like a couple of Finns should go pretty high in this draft too. And it's been a while since we've seen that. So it's a very different class, but a very exciting one nonetheless. Like obviously it's probably not going to be as deep as 2023 because this draft was insane. But there's a whole lot of players to be very excited about at the top end too. And I think that's where we'll probably focus more today of that top 10 and a couple of guys that, are worth mentioning that have first round pedigree. But I'm really excited. This is like the fun part of like scouting a draft class, is like this period where you're kind of getting used to or kind of studying the players where they've been the past couple of years, how they did in their draft minus 1 year. And then kind of try to figure out the projection and where they all line up. Because again, like at this time last year, there were a whole lot of guys that we were hammering like top 15 for sure, and they fall into the second, third, fourth round a couple weeks ago. So this is a really, really exciting time. And it kind of, it's like I said, towards the end of this past season, like you really are like, all right, I'm ready for the draft to happen. Like, especially when they haven't played in a couple weeks, like the Memorial Cup happens, and then there's the lull where there's just no like prospects playing before the draft, and you're kind of just like sick of it. And then this is kind of like that fresh start here. So I'm real pumped to get going in 2024. It's a lot different, but very exciting.
For sure. And I mean, you even talked about it when we were covering the draft for our live stream. Braden Yeager, who fell to the Pittsburgh Penguins at 14, he was a guy that was getting top 5, top 3 love about a year ago. A lot of people are painting this as the 2-horse race between Celebrini and Eiserman. Is that how you see it, or do you think there's a bigger field of guys that you think are vying for those top couple spots?
Yeah, I mean, again, super early, obviously. But at the moment, it is really between those two guys, with Celebrini having that edge there. But there are a couple, probably at the moment, maybe like there's 1, maybe 2, if depending on how the year goes. And a lot would have to go right for this guy to like have a shot at going first overall. But you've got the Russian Ivan Demidov, who, I mean, he is a whole lot of fun to watch. Like, I mean, ripped it up in the Russian Junior League this year. Over assists per game, added like 20 goals. And I mean, every time he touched the puck, he was making a play. Goal scoring, playmaking, like dual threat. He is unbelievable. He's a real fun player to watch. And again, I say this every time we talk about the Russian prospects. All these games are free to watch on YouTube, just saying. So anyone that actually wants to go watch them, they literally stream the entire game, and it's free on YouTube. There you go.
Well, what are the odds that he's going to end up playing with Mr. Mishkov? Yeah,
so that'll be interesting. I probably not next year, because I think Michkov's going to be playing with Scott in the KHL. And I mean, Demidov ended up, and this is wildly impressive too, he ended up featuring in 2 KHL games as a draft -1 this past year, which is, I mean, there you go. That's how good he is. Like, so even to just get that kind of love. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that he'll be back up there playing a couple of games. He'll get a look, but I would imagine the majority of his seasons played in the MHL and the VHL. But man, I'm telling you, this kid, it's 43 assists in 41 games in the U20s in Russia. And he added on 19 goals there, but like shifty, he had a couple like 7-point games. It was just like, that team's loaded, but at the same time, he was the one leading the way pretty much every single time I turned that team on. So he is an electric factory, just a real fun player to watch. Go Sports Center top 10 mode at least like fucking 6 times per game for sure. But yeah, no, he's a whole lot of fun.
Love it. And for everyone, we're going to be going off of the Daily Faceoff top 32 list, the July early ranking. You can find it on eliteprospects.com. That Ivan Demidov is number 4 on the list. We'll kind of reverse and go back to the start here, Z. Number 1 currently, Macklin Celebrini, Chicago Steel.
Stud. Yeah, he's right now in the driver's seat for first overall. I would imagine there's a good chance it stays that way throughout the whole year. Man, this kid is sick. Going to Boston University this next year. So he'll be playing with Lane Hudson and a guy we'll be talking about at the end of the top 10 here, his brother. Had a historic draft -1 season in the USHO at the Chicago Steel this past year. I think it was 50 games. I want to say he scored 46 goals, 86 points. I think he led the USHL as a draft -1 in goals and points. Got Rookie of the Year, Player of the Year. He scored for Canada in their international events. Like, he is no shit, whether he's a center or a wing. Like, his shot is insane. Like, I mean, you want to talk about just dynamic release. The one-timer is an absolute howitzer, but he also make plays too. So, like, another guy that you just defines as that dual threat. The defensive games, it's a work in progress, just like any fucking 17, 18-year-old prospect, even the ones that already play a pretty good defensive game. But I mean, another guy, every time he touches the puck, he's making a play. There's no, like, he's got a plan every time that he touches the puck. He knows what he wants to do with it. He's reading the play like 2-3 plays in advance. He's unbelievable. So yeah, he's in the driver's seat right now at first overall. Again, headed to Boston University, and that rivalry between BU BC is going to be alive and well again, because BC, as we were discussing with the 2023 class, is getting 5 guys that were legit 2023 prospects. They're going there. Celebrini is going to go to BU. Cole Hudson, Lane Hudson's brother, also go to BU. So that rivalry is going to be back. He's going next year. He's going to be, and he'll be one of the young.
Or what's next year, man? Okay.
Yes, this coming season he's going to be. Jesus Christ. I believe he's going to be, unless there's someone that I'm not thinking of, he'll be the youngest player in college hockey. But I mean, you talk to anyone who covers these guys, they're expecting like right underneath Jack Eichel numbers and the NCAA and Fantilli numbers. So this kid's legit, man. He's a whole lot of fun to watch. He is ridiculous. So right now, yeah, he's for sure the driver's seat for first overall. But I mean, hey, we'll see what happens this year.
Love it. Well, I'm going to be biased and lean all year towards the man Cole Eiserman, who's going to be with the US NTDP, but looking at the following year playing for the Minnesota Golden Gophers, likely replacing Logan Cooley when he departs. Talk to me.
He might actually have the best shot in this draft. Like, his shot draws comparisons with like Matthews, Ovechkin. It is a joke. Shattuck St. Mary's, Minnesota Golden Gopher eventually. He was just lighting up the score sheet at every like international event with the national team program there. I think in total, I have to actually pull it up because like they do the USHL season and the NTDP. It plays U18, U17. I think the total was like 104 points between those 3 like leagues or teams or whatever. and 62 games. All this kid does is light the score sheet up. He and this kid who's going to be a top 2025 pick, James Haggins, with the U.S. program, they were insane together at the I think it was the U17s. They both had like 22 points in like 7 games.
It sounds like he's locked to go to Harvard now too, right?
Haggins.
Yeah, because you've got the whole BC
so.
line coming from this past draft, and Haggins is the only missing piece for the Gophers, and I'm pretty bummed that that's not transpiring.
He's fucking unbelievable, dude.
I know.
So good. But yeah, him and Eiserman have just already had this connection, like with the U.S. program and at the international events. But Cole Eiserman, dude, like he is unbelievable. Like again, it's the shot that really does it. But he also, again, he's capable of making plays. He's not just that single, shooting threat. He doesn't sit in the outside. He's got decent size. He plays a physical game. Defense is definitely another big work in progress for him, but when you can score 50 in your sleep, you don't really care. So, I mean, this kid's going to light it up. He's going to be all over the score sheet every single game. And he's right down from my hometown. He's one town over. So there you go.
How is he going to the Gophers?
Yeah, because he ended up at Shattuck. So there you go.
That'll help.
I gotta pull up.
I don't know. Crosby didn't play for the Gophers, so
I have to pull up. He had really funny. Oh my god, yeah. 2 years ago, so like, was it U14s or whatever with Shattuck St. Mary's, dude? 50 games, 97 goals, 57 assists for 154 points. It's just like,
keep the change.
What do you even do? Like, if you're playing against that? What do you even fucking do? It's like, all right, we'll just cover everybody else. Just he's whatever, let him fine. But he'll be. So, I mean, Celebrini, again, he's in the driver's seat first overall, but Eiserman's going to be right behind. Like, he's right there. He will be challenging first overall, and it's definitely a 2-horse race. It's not like a Bedard situation where it's like Bedard and then the next tier. It's not like it's Celebrini and then Eiserman. It's right now, yes, Celebrini's in the driver's seat, but Eiserman's going to be right there, nip at his heels, and I'm sure there are teams that are looking at the shot and the upside with Eiserman too, and wouldn't mind taking him first overall. So we'll see where the season goes, especially like you said, like Celebrini's going to college next season, and Eiserman's going back to the USHL. So I'm sure he's going to continue to do what he's been doing. Celebrini, I think he's going to be more than capable of producing real good numbers with BU next year, but it'll be a different level of competition for sure. So, even though, I mean, Eiserman's going to be playing against the college kids anyways, because they always do, the U.S. team. So, but yeah, those are the 2 guys right now that are pretty firmly 1 and 2. Again, like Demidov and Levshunov, we'll talk about Levshunov in a second. Those would be like the dark horse guys who have the legit upside to potentially challenge for first overall if everything goes right in their draft year. But right now it is firmly Celebrini and Eiserman.
Fair. Well, let's just get right into it then. Artem Livskaya, the Green Bay Gamblers, weirdly enough. Where is he from?
He is a Belarusian. So, but this kid, so I mean, it's funny because they're NHL scouts who, if you talk to them like halfway through the year last year or this past year, they would have said if he was in this draft class, he would have been the first defenseman off the board. Like, he's 6'2", he's a right shot D-man, he skates unbelievably well in transition, he's a beast, and he's got crazy high offensive upside. Like, I think a lot of people have him probably third over a guy like Demidov, even, given the upside with Demidov and how ridiculous of a year he had. But I mean, you're talking about a kid that playing on a not great Green Bay Gambler team in the USHL as a defenseman, 13 goals, 29 assists, 42 points in 62 games. But again, that teams covet that right shot D-man in the first place. Plus he's 6'2", plus he plays mean. He's a real good skater. So he's already kind of like, in terms of his overall profile, he's almost a bit of a unicorn for a kid like at his age, with the way he plays and his size. The upside is insane. Like, I mean, legit high producing shutdown D guy. But again, like it's the skating and the transition play that just pop. Like again, another kid as a defenseman, when he touches the puck in his own zone, he's looking to make a play. He's looking to bustle through the neutral zone there, transition. Everything's clean. Like he just checks every box. So like he's a kid with crazy high upside, and I have no idea how they got him to Green Bay. It's funny. There's certain USHL teams who just get some of these super like high profile like Euros. Like what's his name? Svechnikov ended up in Muskegon. Like it's crazy. But
God bless him.
It sucks again, man. Like this fucking Belarus, like they can't participate in these international tournaments. It really sucks. Because I'd love to see him going up against guys like Eiserman, Celebrini, Demidov.
Sure.
Love to see that with Demidov too. But yeah, no, I think firmly right now, and in the draft class of the defenseman, Levshunov right now is firmly the first D-man off the board. And again, like
Sure.
it's like there were NHL scouts who said he would have been the first defenseman off the board this past year.
Well, and like you said, the Belarusian factor is going to continue to be a thing. But do you think a factor playing into him going above Demidov when it's all said and done is that he is here, he is in the U.S., and Demidov is, well, probably going to sign for 7 years with Ska?
Yeah. I'm sure that plays a part of it too, but at the same time, like you're talking, teams covet defensemen in the first place. We saw it even in this past class where, Reinbacher goes where he went. Then you have Simashev going there. Willander went 11. Like,
sure,
teams are going to covet that defenseman in general, but
how high does Arizona pick? How high does Arizona pick?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
A big fucking Russian. Well,
yeah, exactly. Big. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if there's like that much of it plays the concern, or not even concern, but like leaning Levshunov over a guy like Demidov. But in terms of like defensemen, it's like goalies, like you always say, are voodoo. Obviously, you never really know. And then the next tier is like defensemen. Like a defenseman could be phenomenal in junior hockey, and then he has to play against NHL forwards, and it's like, holy shit, I have no idea what's going on. There are guys who get drafted pretty high and just never really pan out. Levshunov for me is a real, like, he can't miss. Like, he's that good already. And he's that smart. Again, like the tools, the size, his approach to the game, like it just translates to the NHL all day. So, it's not surprising that he's firmly, with a lot of people, third overall over a guy like Demidov, even though I think, Demidov's ceiling is insane.
Fair. And we already touched on Ivan Demidov at number 4, so let's jump to 5. We've got Berkeley Catton of the Spokane Chiefs in the WHL.
Another unbelievable, so again, WHL this past year had like all the guys from 2023, lighting it up. Berkeley Catton on a Spokane team, I mean, you're just under a point per game on not the greatest team on the planet. Another guy, elite playmaking. He's got a good shot. He's capable in his own zone too, plays a decent enough two-way game. But like for me, it's the passing and playmaking that really just set him apart from a lot of guys. And I mean, as a draft -1 to be almost a point per game in the WHL, when the WHL probably, this is the best, like in that league, I don't remember a year where it was this good with this young crop of players too. And again, it wasn't like he was playing with the best players in that league either. Like he was oftentimes going up against the best players and still producing. So just the passing ability, though, the playmaking, like another guy that just like plays with, reading the play 3 plays ahead. Like he just knows where that scene's going to be and he finds it every time. He creates it himself. The skill too. He's got crazy hands, like another guy, super high upside. So I think for a lot of people, I'd say he's probably, there's a couple defensemen that are challenging for that 5th spot at the moment. But just you look at his overall game at the forward position, the playmaking, the ceiling there, and you probably, for me anyways, I think I'd also lean there. A guy like Berkeley Catton, he's going to be a early candidate all name team for sure. But yeah, no, Berkeley Catton.
I don't know, dude. There's a couple other ones that
there's a couple
that are
unbelievable.
Way higher than him on the list.
There's a lot. I'll tell you what, 2024 class has some names. James.
Dude, I've already got 2 guys that are like circled, underlined, bolded.
Hey, one of my favorites out of Sweden, who this is something that I forgot to touch on earlier. He's not going to be a first round guy, but a great name, Leo Salin Wallenius. Another triple action. Yeah,
The third name though is great.
Wallenius. Oh yeah, dude. He's sick. Another low key one of my favorites out of Sweden, Zaki Zaki, last name Crooks. Beauty.
I like that. Anyway, at 7, we'll have one of my favorites early on.
Oh yeah.
All right, number 6, another Canadian. We've got Sam Dickinson of the London Knights in the OHL.
He's definitely a guy that'll be challenging for that 5th spot even higher because, again, he's already playing in the OHL. I think he was on this loaded London team, so like I think there's going to be even more offense to come. He's a very offensive oriented, big left shot D-man. The skating's a work in progress with him, but it's still good enough. But again, he's big. He can play mean if he needs to. I don't think that's necessarily like his calling card. It's not like his go-to, but I think, he has flashes where he knows how to use his size, but super smart player. Again, solid in transition, really good hands, skilled, real good passer from the blue line, super smart. But another guy who's just like, he's, 6'3", 6'4", playing with real good players, facilitates the play for the back end. And another guy that, like, as the theme, it feels like with a lot of guys that go pretty high and from the back end is their transition play, especially with that first pass, puck retrievals, kind of like facilitating the play from that back end where you're taking a lot of the legwork off the forwards. Another area where Sam Dickinson already excels. I know he's got a lot of scouts love him right around anywhere from like 3 to 6. So another guy, I think he could have a monster year in the O. Good year for the O, by the way. This was 2023 wasn't a great OHL year. I'm pretty sure Colby Barlow was the first guy to go from the OHL, and I think he went 19th to the Jets.
18th,
18th, 19th.
No, 19th was the one that broke Minnesota fans' hearts.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're right. You're right. But yeah, no, Sam Dickinson, another one to watch for sure, to be challenging for, potentially top 3 picks. So, big defenseman, defends well enough. Skating again, it's getting there, but big, capable of playing mean, real good in transition. He's got good skill. He makes really good passes and makes real good plays from his own zone and inside the offensive zone. So another high ceiling player for sure. And another defenseman that's going to go very early on day 1. I can't imagine he's going to have like we talked about Cam Allen last year as firmly the first defenseman off the board. Then he ends up in the 4th round of Washington. So I don't predict any kind of fall off for a guy like Sam Dickinson. It definitely helps that he's 6'3" already.
That certainly helps. Number 7, a guy that's I'm convinced will end in my top 3 for the all name positions, which we promise we'll do a better job with this year. But we have Aaron Kiviru, TPS U20 out in Finland.
So he's going to be the guy that early on, I'll tell you, is one of my favorites. He's going to be in the running for my favorite player in this class. He is unbelievable. Like, legitimately worked his way into playing 21 games in the first division as a draft -1 in Finland on a real good TPS team. And a lot of nights was playing like 16 minutes, put up a couple points, but puck moving, crazy skill, facilitates play both from his own zone, but really is capable of running the offense, whether it's, even strength, power play, whatever. Just looking at some of his fucking highlights, if you want to just find any like Kiviru tape, highlight real plays in the offensive zone as a defenseman, the big knock, again, he's not 6 feet. So I think, you look at the Hellenius last year, he lit it up as the draft -1 player. Easily was like Finland's best player too there. He's legit, man. Like, again, he's so fun to watch, where it's just like highlight reel play after highlight reel play. And you know what? He, for a guy that's undersized, we talked about with like Sandy Pellica too, where he's certainly not afraid to play physical, and he does, and he looks for that hit too. He's not afraid, which is why he made it 21 games in Liga this year as a 16-year-old, and played fairly well. Like, he's legit. And I don't know, I think the sky's the limit with Kiviru. Like, for me, he was like, even before like celebrating Eiserman really popped off, like he was in that race for number 1 overall at one point early on last year. So for me, probably going to end up being like my son of the draft. But he's another kid, man. He's so fun to watch. And I mean, like some of these games too, I think he was averaging like 29 minutes a night, like playing in the U20s over there. And then he's playing with Finland at the U18s as like the youngest player in the tournament. He's still playing 26 minutes a night. Like, he is a beast. And he's on the ice for very few goals against. So I'm a big fan of Kiviru. Again, might end up being my favorite player in this draft. And I'm really fascinated to see where he ends up going on day one, because I think he's probably got a higher ceiling than some guys that are going to go before him, because he's 5'9", 5'10". And he's a small kid, but again, it's not like he's a defensive black hole. It's not like he's afraid of contact. It's why he played 21 Liga games this year as a 16-year-old. And that league, like, they're mean. Like, that's not an easy league to play in as a young player. So Kiviru, legit, one of my favorites, possibly my favorite in this class. And I hope, it's not the case of falls because he's not 6 feet tall, aka 4'10".
How tall is he actually?
5'10", I think.
So yeah, 4'10", that checks out.
5'4", 5'10", 310, yeah, same thing.
Fair enough. I mean, they can't all be 7 feet like everyone else you've talked about. So
right, exactly.
Number 8 comes in, same nationality, going to be playing in the same league. We've got Sota Hellenius, definitely going to get some notoriety for all name. I'm going Kiviru for sure, especially with the Aaron with 1A instead of Aaron. But talk about Sota.
I love that. So I was telling you before too, like, this is going to be a year for Finland to have some really high profile players and guys that are going to go early. It's been a couple of years. And this year they're really swapping places with Sweden, where it feels like Sweden always has 5-6 guys that are challenging for first round. I don't think necessarily it's going to be that many for Finland, but it's good to see like Kiviru, Sota Hellenius. It's good to see Finland having like some high end prospects here too. This is a kid, man, like, his shot is unbelievable. He's definitely a goal scorer, but he also is a elite playmaker. Another one of my favorites. Maybe I'm just going to adopt Finland this year. Another one of my favorites in this draft class, where like some of the plays he makes, it's just, again, the fact that he's clearly seeing the ice 3 plays ahead every time he's out there. It's another guy, again, I'll say it every time, really, but defense, big work in progress with him. He does not care about it at all. But real fun player to watch, elite playmaker. The passing's legit. Like, I don't think I've ever seen him miss a pass. Another guy, like, I used to talk about, the guy that should have gone first overall this past year, Felix Ungerstorm. I don't think I've ever seen him dump a puck in where every time he touches, he's like, no, I'm making a play. Someone go back door. And he will hold on to the puck, and you won't get it back from him, which is like, yes, that can bite you in the ass, but I do love players that every time they touch it, they want to make a play. And he loves to have the puck. So, like, I would imagine if I could find the tracking data for Liga or the U20 league over in, I think it's like U20 SM Saria. It's like, come on, like, shorten your fucking league name for fuck's sake. I would imagine he's high up in terms of like most puck touches per game in that league, where it feels like every time he's on the ice, he has the puck. And again, he's looking to make a play. He's a good skater too. He's quick. And he's got the hand speed to match it. So another dynamic playmaker with a good shot. I'm a big fan of Sota Hellenius, and a big fan apparently of the Finnish kids in this class. But another guy I'm curious to see if he rises too, because I do think he's that good. And I'm curious to see how many games he gets, because I think he'll play in Liga this year. I think he's on loan to Ukraine, though, off the top of my head. Or not on loan. Maybe he is on loan. Sorry. But Yeah, no, I love Hellenius, man. Oh, actually, sorry. He played 33 games in the Liga this past year. And he put up 11 points, which is ridiculous for a fucking 16-year-old.
That'll work.
Yeah, not bad. Decent player.
All right, so we've established you are adopting the entire nation of Finland this year. Do we have to take that up with your scouting organization that I will not say out of respect?
Smart. No, because again, while Sweden doesn't have a whole lot of guys right now that are projected to go first round, aka maybe one, maybe two. I think it's going to be like a classic Sweden draft class where by the end of the year, I bet there's a couple kids that are climbing. Because I do love a couple of the Swedes that aren't necessarily in the whole lot of first rounds right now, but it's also July.
Yeah, fair. This is very fair. All right, then we'll move right along to number 9 on the list. Henry Muse, defenseman for the Ottawa 67s of the OHL, the previous home of Marco Rossi. To those of you in the chat that want to say mean things, how dare you? Henry Muse, what do we know?
Really interesting player, like definitely a 6-foot right shot D-man, so teams are going to love him. An interesting player, though, like decent skater, not the most physical dude in the world, although I think he could be because he's super strong. But he plays just an overall pretty reliable game where, he'll make the occasional high-end flashy play, but I feel like a lot of his game is just surrounded or is kind of like really not necessarily conservative, but just like making the right play. Like I think he's just a super smart player where he's not forcing plays. He's almost like a higher ceiling Ryan O'Rourke and minus the physicality part, where it's just like he knows exactly what he is, the type of player he is. And he's also cognizant of like who's on the ice with him. So he knows where to be at the right times. So again, but he does flash that skill. Like you see it pop occasionally. I mean, I think he put up 31 points in almost, I think it was like 50 something games this year on a real good Ottawa team. And like, by the way, the Ottawa team that ended up trading for Pavel Mintyukov. So like, I think he was really popping off offensively at the beginning of the year. And then all of a sudden Mintyukov came like, okay, now Mintyukov's going to play 30 minutes a night and put up 2.5 points per game. Ottawa was the best team for a long time in the OHL. And again, as a draft -1, Henry Muse was playing a big role, probably playing 24, 25 minutes a night. But he's a right shot D with size. He's super smart, defends well enough. And again, another guy in transition. He's a very good player to have on your team, especially if you're a forward. You don't really have to do a whole lot of legwork. So I like him a lot. I'm just curious to see where the actual like ceiling is with him. But I do think he just plays overall like a well-rounded game. And I'm curious to see if the offense continues just to flash even more and pop, just because you see flashes, you just don't see it every game. But a lot of that had to do with the fact that he's playing on the same team as Pavel Mintyukov, who is unbelievable. So, yeah, no, I like him a lot. Again, doesn't hurt that he's a right shot D-man.
That always helps. That's 6'7". So, yeah, that's great. Rounding out the top 10 then, we have American boy. Are we going to go full Michael Russo on this and say son of Lane Hudson?
Yes. We have Lane Hudson's son. Impressive work.
We got Cole Hudson of the USNTDP and another BU commit, of course.
And you'll never believe it. He's an undersized left shot defenseman who does the same shit Lane does, where he is just fucking lighting up the score sheet, highlight reel plays. The one thing about Cole Hudson, though, is he like, I think it's more funny just because he is, again, he's also 5'8", 5'9". He's looking for hits. And I mean, executing them. Like, he fucking hits people hard. He's super aggressive for a kid that's 5'8". But again, like U18 Worlds, most points by a defenseman, most assists by a defenseman. Like, he is lighting up the score sheet. And this time he's actually getting like top 10 recognition from a lot of people. Maybe they just like saw Lane Hudson, like, damn it, like we fucked that one up maybe a little bit here. And they're giving him the Cole recognition he deserves. But I mean, it's literally like a clone, but more physical. So another guy that's like just so fun to watch. And it's just, again, it's just really funny because he's 5'8" and he's just like killing guys. And you're just like, how does that even make sense? But another guy, just everybody's one of their favorites to watch because it's just highlight reel play after highlight reel play. And again, like, I think he's a good enough skater too, where he defends well in transition, where he kills a lot of plays before they even like start. So that's like he's got that like defensive upside too. Like he is legit. And I mean, at the U18 Worlds, where again, like he's one of the youngest players at the tournament, he's putting up 18 minutes a night on the team that won the gold. I think he had points in every single game, and he definitely assisted. I don't remember if it was the actual game winner overtime against Sweden to win the gold. But I mean, he's playing a big role in every game that he's in especially at the international level. So I'll be curious to see if he does go this high, just because, again, like I think teams,
they'll fall.
they just can't help themselves, dude. There's like, what about this guy that's like 6'5"? He put up 2 points last year.
You know, as soon as Corey Pronman gets his claws in, it's over.
Yeah. Oh, but I mean, Cole, it's again, it is Lane's clone, but like meaner. But so like Lane also does like to hit people. Like it's just really funny because I think they're both just like, in a good way, like on the ice, like cocky assholes, like just chirping you, but with good reason, and they will just come and kill you. Like I that's why I really love the Hudson brothers. Like they're really fun to watch. I love they're both go to BU too. And again, you got them coming, Celebrini coming, Willander. I would imagine that Willander's going to play with one of the Hudsons next year. So some elite skating, puck moving D-men. It's going to be a whole lot of fun to watch. But Cole Hudson, he rounds out. Again, you said that you can find this list on Elite Prospects. You can find it on dailyfaceoff.com.
Again, this is how you got me to it, okay?
No, I know. I was just like, I feel like I should mention this part.
Yes, dailyfaceoff.com. If anyone doesn't already go there, whether you use it for like fantasy hockey for starting goalies or just to see the latest rosters and depth charts for teams, Daily Faceoff is awesome. I gotta say too, though, we use this list specifically because it's one of the only ones that has a firm top like 32 right now. So it was, and we felt like the top 10 was pretty close to the consensus right now. I was gonna say, you're pretty upset about Pronman, so we didn't include that.
Not upset.
Disagreeing heavily.
That's okay though. Yeah. That's what makes scouting fun.
Exactly. So I think you've already pretty well established that the lowest floor, just given size, right, would be Cole Hudson out of the defenseman we just talked through. But out of the group, would you say that he's potentially got one of the higher ceilings, or across the group, like who has the highest ceiling and then the lowest floor outside of Cole Hudson?
Yeah, I mean, for me, Lev Shunov, it's easy. He's got the highest upside.
Okay.
In terms of,
I figured he had the highest floor. I didn't know if it's upside match.
And yeah, that's the thing. He's one of the rare cases where like, oh, he's super safe, but like the upside is insane. Where like you're even like just betting on the upside to hit.
Sure.
Because again, like, right shot always helps. 6'2" always helps. Really good skater, big plus. So I would say he's definitely the guy with the highest ceiling from the back end. But I think that is a high floor too. So I would say he's like, again, it's hard to. I don't really care because I don't really care if I look stupid later. But like when you want to label a prospect on the back end like as a can't miss, like he checks all those boxes that makes you think like, yeah, no, he's gonna play and like be a top 4, no shit, like without a doubt, top 4 D-man.
Short of a monumental collapse, can you see him having a good enough year that he could push for 1 or 2.
Yeah. I mean, he's got the upside, and again, like a right shot D-man, I think it's going to be pretty hard for anyone to pass Celebrating Eiserman. But if you want to find, again, we said this early on, like 2 guys that could, depending on their year, and it would be really hard for the other guy. But like Levshunov and Demidov are the 2 guys with like the ceiling that's high enough that you could potentially see a world where it happens. But I still think it would take pretty much everything going right for both of those guys and a whole lot of things going wrong for Celebrating Eiserman to not go 1 and 2.
Fair.
But it's July of 2023, so we'll see.
This is all very true. All right, then we had 3 other guys that fell into the teens for this list that you wanted to make sure we made note of. Coming in at number 13 on this list, we have Canadian Tanner Howe of the Regina Pats in the WHL. Let's hear it.
So he's a guy, and the reason I really wanted to talk about him was because, I mean, he put up, 85 points in the WHL this season, playing on Regina with Connor Bedard, and now Bedard obviously is not going to be there next year, so it's a case where you could see his stock continue to rise if he continues to do what he did. Because I will emphasize, Regina, especially now that Bedard's going to be gone, that is not going to be a very good team. But the thing with Tanner Howe is he was most often time like playing as a number 2 center, so he really wasn't playing with Bedard. And he still did what he did, which is wildly impressive as a draft -1 in the WHL in a year where the WHL was insane. So that's why he's kind of found himself pretty high up in a whole lot of rankings. So it's going to be really interesting to see what this coming season has for him or what he's able to produce. Just because, again, like what happens with Bedard gone, like for the entire team. But he's going to be a real interesting, he's an older player in this draft. So he's got that going for him where like he is pretty physically developed, even though he's not the biggest kid in the world. He is a mean bastard. And he's also got high-end skill. He's got a real good shot. He is a weapon in the offensive zone. And he's got the added, like, he wants to play mean every time he touches the ice. So he's a really fun player to watch because he's going to do something noticeable every time he's out there. But again, I think I really want to touch on him because like you could see a situation this year where like, hey, like Bedard's gone and he's still even better than he was last year on a not so good Regina team. Or, you know, if does it have like the inverse effect where he's, you know, the point production takes a big hit. He's not that noticeable. So he's going to be a really interesting one to watch this year. But I'm betting on him continuing to do what he did. Because again, a lot of times he wasn't playing with Bedard because he was playing in that number 2 center role. So definitely gonna be a real interesting one to track as the season goes here.
Love it. Number 15, we have an interesting one here. Technically, off Russo logic, this is the son of one of your former draft children. So this is actually your draft grandson.
Yep.
Adam Juracek out of Czechia.
And what do you know? He's a right shot defenseman. You know what? With him, he especially in the junior ranks, like he was making like a lot more high-end offensive plays. Maybe not a whole lot more, but he also plays like his brother. I think he's got more offensive upside, but at the same time, he's like the clone defensively where he's a big boy that plays physical. He's mean, defends well, but he's got the two-way game. So it's like, it's very similar like player, but like, I think he does flash more offensive upside at times. And I mean, he eats minutes. Like he's another guy, just like his brother, where he's on the ice. It feels like half of the game. Played in the Czech first division for like 12 games this year, which is obviously wildly impressive because that, especially for like a defenseman, that's a tough league to play in. Because I mean, some of these hits on these poor bastards retrieving pucks. I mean, menacing. The fact that is he was able to play 12 games, in the pro league as a draft -1, because that's not an easy league to play in for a young player. Wildly impressive there. Not like, I don't even know how to say his team's name. It's PLZEN. I think it's, I don't know. I don't even know. Pulzen, whatever. But he fit in and played more than capable. I think he ended up featuring in Czech pro playoff games, but he didn't actually touch. They just had them on the bench. Just a vibe guy. That's what it says to me. So automatically he's gonna be one of my sons. But just like his brother, he's big, physical, legit offensive upside, mean bastard in his own zone. But he's got a fucking howitzer of a shot too. He's a real fun player to watch. So again, I love that we got Adam Yurchek, we got Cole Hudson in this class.
That is fun. So PLZEN. I'm just gonna go from the hip and say that it's some weird European shit where it's turns into an F. It's Fen.
I feel like the Z's got to be like a ch. You know what I mean?
With a P and an L.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's why it really tripped me up.
It's Fen. I'm going with it.
We love that.
FEN is how it's pronounced.
Rick Dvorsky.
Dude. I'm still so sad that Rick went to the fucking Blues.
Ricky.
Get old Rick. We haven't come across anyone that needs to be Rick yet, just because everyone's name.
Oh, we'll find.
I mean, Levshinov, I'm not even 100% sure how to pronounce his first name. Artym. Artyom or
Artyom? There's another real good one. Brother got drafted a couple years ago. Brother is and you'll know him out there. Shai Buim. Jesus, was it Buyum? I don't know. His brother's in this class. He'll go first round. His name is Zeev. Zeev. And he's legit, dude. He's fucking good.
Name.
Yeah. Zeev Buyum.
That's pretty cool. That almost rivals this next name here that I think early on has to be leading the all-name team charts at 16 out of, is that Norway or Denmark?
He is
not great on my flags.
He's a Norwegian.
Norway. We have another three-namer, Michael Brandseg Nygaard. What a fucking name. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, and he's playing in Sweden, so you're going to be all over him this year.
Well, which is why I said that we had to mention this guy, because he's probably the one Swede that's firmly in the first round. He's legit. Big right winger, good shot, real good playmaker. And I think the upside's super high with a guy like him. But the big thing that stuck out for me this year is how aggressive he was. But even then, he went, and again, he's playing a lot of games in the Allsvenskan, so the same league that Dvorsky is playing in, and he ended up playing in some playoff games and fitting in more than adequately. So he's already playing a pretty advanced game just in terms of being able to play in hard situations where it's not just he's out there to play junior hockey in Sweden and put up 1 million points. And again, I talked about this with our other triple name guy, Oscar Fisker Molgaard, not out of Norway. He was out of Denmark that went to Sweden. But this was Brandseg Nygaard's first year in Sweden. Before that, he's playing in Norway, his junior hockey. And he comes over this year to Sweden, over a point per game in the J20 on a non-playoff team. Again, goes and features in Allsvenskan games, puts up a couple points there, plays in playoffs, fits right in and has kind of just an overall approach to the game that I think ultimately translates really well to the North American style too. Part of that's just the aggression, and just the plays that he makes are, yes, high end, but the kind that you see in the NHL where I'm not. And again, the dual shot, that helps too. But I just think he's going to ultimately translate really well, just his approach to the game. I think he has the advanced kind of two-way game too. But another guy I'm a big fan of, but the big reason I wanted to mention was just the fact that he's like the one Swede for the first time ever that's like firmly in this first round. And I say Swede as in based out of Sweden. So that's one of the guys that I scout. Yeah. One of the guys that I scout. So there you go. There's not a whole lot of guys at the moment, even though there's one other guy, great name too, that I think is firmly a first round talent for me.
Well, then let's hear it.
Big center, Simone Zether with a Z. Beauty. Playing for Rogla, beast. Unbelievable playmaker. Great shot. Plays a two-way game. Physical, mean. Love him. One of my favorites out of Sweden. I think a guy that should go first overall. It helps that he's a big right shot center.
I was just going to ask, is he a midget or is he 7 feet?
No, he's 6'3".
So 7
big
feet
boy.
Tall.
Yeah. So he's a giant. Andre the Giant. Same thing.
Simone the Zether.
40 beers on a plane.
Probably. Legend. I think that's it. I think we did it.
That rounded out.
We did the thing. Real quick, we got a request from your favorite granny, Z. Gone totin' granny. Z, can you post a list of the hockey channels you subscribe to on Twitter? I need to add to my prospect viewing.
Sounds
like something you're very capable of doing, but will forget to do.
Channels I subscribe to?
Yeah, like what do you follow? Like, how do you watch junior hockey is the way that I'm getting that? Or if there's, that's all I can take from it. Like, what are you subscribing to? What subscriptions have you paid for or been given to watch prospects?
Nailed it. There. Yep. Gone Toten Granny says yes. The one that I pay for is the it's called Svenska Hockey. That's the Swedish J20 and J18. So Swedish junior hockey, I think it's like $11 a month. I use someone else's subscription for the CHL, so CHL TV. But I guess it's not hockey. I guess it's Flow Hockey, not Hockey TV. But they have the USHL. They've got a lot of college hockey too. Pretty much I find the ones that are cheapest ones, but then I also may or may not stream illegally or legally. It's a free country. You got to be careful of the pop-ups because it's unbelievable, but it's on hockey.tv has every fucking league in the world. You just have to pick your streams carefully. But again, I would like to stress this as much as possible. If you want to watch Russian junior hockey or the VHL, which is the Russian AHL, they stream every single game high quality for free on YouTube. Every single game. And they are still up. You could watch all of them this year. Yeah, Schuster it is, allegedly. Free streams for everybody.
Free streams for all.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. I think that about does it. Look at that. Isha's just over an hour. You're welcome.
You're welcome, Isha. No editing allowed. Just hit post, baby.
Never.
Well, actually, this was live, so it doesn't even fucking matter. Again,
he can still edit the audio.
Yeah, what a loser. But like when I was doing this by myself, it was me just hitting record, and I would literally like fuck something up or I'd get distracted. I'd be like, Isha, don't you even fucking think about editing that out. That stays. But yeah. Oh, I can't believe we missed a week for the first time in months.
You had a streak of probably 2, maybe even 2.5 months going.
It's sad.
And it took a psycho stealing your shower head, stealing your utility bills, stealing your router.
If it wasn't for the roof over my head, I was homeless, which is like essentially all of being homeless is whether or not you have the roof. So I guess I can't even say that. But I mean, I had nothing. There was nothing. I had a bed and a roof, which I mean, not complaining. but I'll complain. She, again, the fact that our apartment is littered with all of her fucking shit everywhere, like you can barely walk around the apartment. But she came back, took her giant ass fucking TV, took the internet, took the shower, and then cleansed herself of the utilities. Like, it's
Jesus.
fucking unbelievable. Like, what a move. Was her roommate Ellie? No, I don't. I met that person though. They don't know that they met me though. I was at dev camp.
Oh, that's great.
Wasn't Ellie?
I knew that one would get you. I'm not even gonna use the role model outro. I was
waiting for it. That's how I know that we're actually wrapping up here.
That's how you know it's over. No, yeah. I got nothing on it. We're getting back into the swing. I'm sure next week there'll be plenty of references. It's all good. But Guntote and Granny agree. Hit the like on the video, and if any of you that happen to have hung around this long, God bless all of you. You're lunatics in the best way. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. We're working towards 1,000 for our mirror giveaway. This beautiful McGolden mirror behind me.
Thing is sick.
It is pretty cool. So yeah, I kind of hope that we don't hit 1,000. Don't subscribe, I guess, or subscribe.
Unsubscribe.
Unsubscribe. Resubscribe. Oh man. Oh, and Schuster wants to know if we talked to Dev Camp. We did not. But if you want to hear about a little bit of Wild news and a lot of 2024 prospects, definitely pop back in here right after this and you can rewatch, or just jump in the podcast tomorrow whenever Isha gets around to posting it. We'll see.
He's got you. I'm assuming there's UFC that probably happening, so he might be distracted.
It's funny. I think that's actually true this time. Usually it's just a Friday and Saturday thing, but when I came in to jump into this stream, I saw another one that was set up to start shortly after ours. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
That motherfucker lives to watch people beat the ever-living dog shit out of each other.
Yep.
Live stream it, and then like 3 days after the fight, going into our group chat and be like, "Did you guys see this? It was crazy. These cousins were fighting. This kicked themselves. He kicked his cousin right in the face. It's unbelievable. Here's the video. I know no one else watches UFC, but I need to talk about this."
Hey, anyone right now, and that Sean's not wrong. He's
not
rocking
wrong,
up the
dude.
subs.
It works.
He's doing okay over there. And anyone that is still listening, as soon as we sign off, you should go over to the City Life Project, if he is live streaming right now, and all of you in the chat, just start asking him questions about WWE and pro wrestling, and he will probably have a meltdown live, and it'll be great for everyone.
And ask him if the Duhaime jersey's in the mail on the way to Spoke Z.
Yes.
Ask if that's happening.
Ask about the Duhaime jersey for Spoke Z.
Again, because I don't believe him. The first story he told me, he didn't need to send me it. But the first story was, dude, I just found out like it just didn't, like that something fucked up with the shipping and they just didn't do anything about it. They didn't send it and they didn't tell me.
It's like, dude, if you didn't order it, just tell me.
Slap fighting. That's right, Sean.
This will certainly.
I like that you capitalized the S and F in slap fighting.
Yeah, I mean you gotta.
That's showing respect.
Showing respect, but no. Anyone, if you want to get him riled up and see crazy reaction, just pepper him with pro wrestling questions.
And how great the QMJHL is.
And the QMJHL.
For banning
all right,
fighting.
Anyone that wants to fuck with Isha, QMJHL.
Best league in the world.
Really, anything about the province of Ontario. Wrestling rather than MMA, and then sending Z his Duhaime jersey. Those are the big boxes to check.
Yeah. We still got 12,000 people in the chat, aka 12. Anyone else want to say something funny or ask any questions? I would love a humorous comment, to take us out here, or any questions anyone's got.
I can give you a throwback from Sean earlier that's no longer relevant.
It's always relevant. Sean, are you
Gustafson should sign. He's being selfish. not as selfish as the 2001 Diamondbacks, who beat the Yankees after 9/11. What a bunch of prices, which he
Was it
later
the draft?
corrected to pricks.
Was it the draft? He said that.
I just knew you'd enjoy that again.
That would always gets me.
And this is my favorite one for Isha.
Yeah,
literally, his contact picture in my phone is the wrestling coach holding up the newspaper and screaming, "That's not wrestling." It's great.
Ren Tarrington, yes, sir. We will keep doing this. And also, as
long as we have internet.
Yeah, well, that's 50-50 every week apparently. I just want to say if Ren Tarrington was if he was a hockey player eligible for the 2024 NHL draft, he'd be in the all-name team.
Oh,
great name,
sure.
Ren Tarrington.
It is a good one.
Big fan. All right, we can call.
I was gonna say we've effectively dragged this long enough. And anything you want to say for parting words here, or are we just killing it?
Thanks as always for you lunatics who actually come in here live and hang out with us. And really anyone that listens later, start to finish. Any of you sick puppies that do that to yourselves, we appreciate and love you. And hopefully I don't lose my Wi-Fi next week. And we'll be able to do this again. Next week's going to be a big time brainstorm to figure out what the fuck we're going to talk about. Maybe Gustafsson will sign. That would be cool. Or something good happens with the prospects, because this is the dog days before the Hellenius. Like, this is the last week or two that it's just like there's nothing happening. And it is the worst. So, but at the same time, this is where I get all my film. So I've already started cutting videos for 2024. So there you go.
There we go. All right. Don't forget, people. Go to the City Life Project and harass Isha.
Harass Isa.
Harass Isha. All right. Peace.
Later.